Welcome to Conversations with Asha and Steve, where communication matters. Join us as we discuss effective ways to communicate, bridge the gaps, and build long-lasting relationships within your business and life. Here are your hosts, Asha Prasad and Steve Harper.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. I'm Steve Harper. With me, as always, is Dr. Asha Prasad. How are you doing, Asha?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you?
I'm great. I am getting such great feedback on this series where, people are really loving what these questions are and the approach that we're taking with this particular series. So, these are questions everyone should be asking themselves, right? So What is today's question?
So this question, you know what? I really like this question. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. So the question today is there a time that we need to be selfish?
Ooh.
And I know that this is kind of a taboo thing, right? Because usually means kind of has a negative connotation. But but I don't really see it that way in this way. So Steve, love to hear from you. Let's hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I think obviously the big one that comes to mind is being selfish with my time, right? I've
Mhm.
spent so much time giving to other people. I'm a yes person, and I always want to try and help and contribute, add value when and where I can, which means that I often become a request punching bag for a lot of people. Like, hey, do you have a minute? I need to pick your brain. Can I take you to lunch? Can I stop
Right,
by your office? Can I? And
right.
it leaves me emotionally depleted, right, in a lot of ways.
Yes.
I've done it for years, it really kind of came to a head when I really kind of hit an emotional and physical brick wall where I just
Right.
was giving way too much to other people, but I didn't have anything left in the tank for me, my ventures, my
Right.
approach, what I wanted to be doing. And you can kind of tell when this happens because you lack a little, or at least for me, I lacked, some clarity and purpose. I lacked
Right.
I have an ever spring of creativity about ideas and things I want to write on and topics for this show, et cetera. And when those things dry up, it means that you probably have been giving away too much.
Yeah.
And so for me,
Right.
uh, I had to start saying no to a lot of things. I had to be
Mhm.
a little bit more intentional and selfish with my time and where I decided to put my energy. And
Mhm.
that to me was a big sort of wake up call. And it has um, it has really kind of taught me that yeah, there's a time and a place to be selfish, and that's where you put your time, energy, and focus. And if you're not putting it on your own
Exactly.
stuff and you're always giving it away, then you're never going to further your own agenda. You're never going to really
Yeah.
have enough in the tank to to benefit your venture or whatever you're working on. And so I think that was it was a big realization for me. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? The way I look at it, and this has been a process for me, but the way I look at it generally is that anything that's causing you harm, you need to be selfish with. If there's
Yeah,
something, and just like what you were talking about, like if you're saying yes all the time, make it a point to say no more. And
yeah,
then you can always come back or like, you know what? Right now, I'm not sure. I will commit to that or I will let you know definitely on Tuesday or whatever it is. Because the thing about it is that if it's causing you harm, if it's depleting your mental, physical, emotional well-being, because that's the biggest thing that I see in a lot of my clients, also in my patients as well in the practices, but in my coaching clients especially, when they are getting depleted, they have no creativity for themselves, they have no energy for themselves. They can't make more than 24 hours in a day, even though they're trying to. And it's like, okay, so where are you depleting your energy? Where are you depleting your time? Where are the places that you're not taking care of yourself? Because I think the flip side of selfishness is self care. You've
yeah,
got to take care of yourself, just like, they say in the airplanes, put your mask on first before you help somebody else.
yeah.
It's so true. You have to, otherwise, you're not going to be able to help anybody.
That's right.
And you know what, Steve? It's such a difficult thing because I know like you are an incredibly generous, giving person. Like that's who you are. So it is so difficult to kind of tame that down because whenever you are, being selfish in a healthy way, it may feel, and we all go through this, it may feel really bad because it's like, oh my God, but I could have helped that person so
Yeah, yeah.
quickly. But you have to be disciplined in it, because you'll see that as you start doing that, there are a couple of things that happen. Those people that are always taking, they kind of go off and they find somebody else to kind of, take off of or take
Other
from.
victims.
Yeah, exactly. Or, what happens, you'll start to notice, is that you get your energy back. You get
Yeah.
your inspiration back. And that is, you could just be so much more, could give so much more and be so much more beneficial to those around you, coming from that place rather than a depleted place where you're
Yeah.
constantly fighting for more energy and pushing, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
really having to push yourself. Shouldn't have to be that way.
No, it shouldn't. And you hit on an important topic, which is self care, which I think that we just did a coaching roundtable for my Ripple membership. And we were talking about how
Mhm.
sometimes you spend so much time caring for other people that you don't leave enough time for your own self care, and how critical and
Exactly.
important that is, that you find that time and that you're selfishly
Yeah.
blocking it off, right? Especially with everything that we get thrown at us on a daily basis,
Yes.
all the impacts on our time and our attention, all of the negativity that tends
Right.
to spiral up, whether it's on social media, the news, wherever. You just have this over. There's an overindulgence of those things, and that weighs on you, and it has this tendency to
Yeah.
kind of grade on your mental fortitude and your physical health, right? As it
Exactly.
begins to, that begins to really become a challenge that you've got to focus on. And so it's one of those things that I think that you have to selfishly leave time in each day for
Yeah.
yourself, whether that's, hey, in between, for you it's like in between patients, don't schedule me back to back, I need 10-15 minute break,
Yeah.
I can just go into my office and I can decompress and I can just recenter myself and get back to, kind of the right mental space before I see the next patient. For me, it's like not back to back Zooms or, meetings
Yeah.
or calls, because those things just have a tendency to just plumb wear me out. And then that's not good either, because then I'm not, if I'm doing that back to back throughout the day, then by the end of the
Yeah.
day, how good am I actually for anybody, right? Including myself.
Exactly.
And I realized that at some juncture, what I have done is I've kind of cultured my team here that when I decide that I'm on do not disturb me, right? I'm either going to go into
Exactly.
our little meditation studio and take a little break, or I'm going to walk around the building, gather my thoughts. And I have, used to feel guilty about that, because if you're not in front of your desk
Right.
and you're not in front of your computer, it's like, oh, you're not really
Yeah.
doing anything. And
Yeah.
that isn't true, because at the end of the day, we need that step away time to kind of get our brain back and kind of get ourselves repositioned. We brought in standing desks years ago that have been
Mhm.
godsends. I'm one of the only ones that uses it throughout the day. I stand almost all day long,
Right.
because I feel like I have to do these little things to overcome all the other things that kind of are out to get me, right? And
Right.
that's a selfish, that's an approach to being selfish about my physical being and my mental
Right.
being. But I think it's real critical, because if you leave it to everybody else to worry about you, they won't,
Mm-mm.
right? In most
They won't.
cases. And like you said, with the oxygen mask, you can't be great and can't be there for everybody else if you're not taking care of yourself first.
No, exactly. And you know what? One of the things, Steve, I have realized, some of the most creative and productive times have been when I have appeared to other people of doing nothing. And it's funny because I find that whenever you decompress and you allow that time, selfishly plan that time for yourself, boredom is one of the best things. I mean, there have been times that I have been doing quote unquote nothing, and that boredom has served me so well, because it has been the time where I have gotten the most creative ideas, that I've
Hmm.
gotten the inspiration and the motivation. And if we don't allow ourselves to have a little bit of that, then we're not operating at our optimal level. We
Yeah.
just aren't. So we've got to work it in. And I think that's where that is such a healthy way to be selfish, to be, really self caring, actually, at that point. That's really important.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, have you noticed that, you spend a day doing nothing and yet the day flies by? which
Yes.
is, that is actually a really big indicator that your
Yeah.
body and your mind needed that day. And
Yes. Exactly.
it's crazy how you just get lost in the most mundane things, whether it's going and getting,
Yeah.
a cup of coffee at your local coffee shop, or taking a walk, or
Right.
just being away from the laptop and any electronics for a period of time.
Exactly.
It seems like the day just like, well, where did my Sunday go? Right. Or where did my,
Exactly.
where did the rest of my day go? And it's like, well, that
Right.
was because your body really needed the recharge.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden you're just losing your, you're able to be lost in thought. And that has such a huge impact to your, to your body and to your mind. I keep bringing that back because those are the things that you have. Those are your assets that you have to take care of.
Exactly.
And you've got to be selfish in that regard. It's okay to take off on a Thursday and go read a book in a park,
Yeah.
right? It's okay to,
Right.
decide that you're going to take Friday off and just with no agenda, no plan, and not schedule
Exactly.
yourself, every hour of the day that you're going to try and cram in laundry and all your home chores and all this other stuff that
Exactly.
you don't get done during the week. So I just think that there's all these different aspects to what people can look at and how they can approach the selfish approach to,
Right.
just being there for themselves.
But if you are somebody that's out there really serving literally everybody all the time, like, just like going over your limit,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get you might get some pushback. I know I have definitely gotten some pushback from people in my life because they're like, well, wait a second. She was always there. She was
Yeah.
always willing, and no matter what time of day or whatever it is. And communicate. Definitely with your meaningful relationships, communicate with people and let them know what you're going through and what it is that how you are reshifting your focus for your own life and
Mm-hmm.
how you can be, you want to be the best version of yourself. Communicate that. That's really
Yeah.
important. And those that don't like it, well, you know, I mean, too bad. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, but too bad. Maybe you need to take a step back. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Don't be pressured or bullied into it, right? Which is probably how you
Exactly.
got in this situation in the first place. So,
So
like you
true.
said, they'll generally find somebody else to go put
I'll
their
find
stuff
something.
on, and that's
Yeah.
okay as well. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's a really critical factor. I love these questions. It's a great series. I'm super, super enthusiastic with the response that we're getting to this particular series.
Thank
How
you.
can our listeners or audience tell us what they're thinking about this particular question, how they deal with these kinds of things, how are they selfish, and how can they share that with us and get involved in the conversation?
Yeah, definitely. So go to our YouTube, subscribe to our channel so you get alerted for all of our, episodes in this series, of course, and definitely drop a comment there. You can follow us on any of our social media, Facebook or Instagram, and definitely drop us a comment over there as well.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
we
Well, we'll
will
be back.
respond.
Yeah, I mean, we always comment. We always look for it. We always like to engage with our audience for sure,
Exactly.
and certainly appreciate everybody. Whether you're listening on the podcast platforms, you're finding us on Facebook or YouTube, we are so grateful that you're a part of this conversation. We'll be back again very soon with another question for this series in another episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. But until then, Asha, take care.
Okay, till next time.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. We love to hear feedback and questions from our listeners. Please feel free to visit our Facebook page for more tips and information. You can also email us directly at info@ripplecentral.com for more information.